Join Ken Snow for the first local news, Channel 7 Morning News. From around the city to the far end of the hill country, this is Channel 7 Central Texas.
Good morning. Welcome to Central Texas on a Labor Day. School starts tomorrow, and perhaps a lot of you mothers that are getting your youngsters off to school will have a little more time now to read some of the books that you've been wanting to read all summer long and haven't had the chance to do. Well, David Earl Holt, the director of the Austin Public Library, will be on the program this morning to talk about some of the new books that are out that you might find interesting. Travis County Extension Agent Tommy Kesar will be here along with Dr. Wayne Hayenga to talk about estates and family planning. But first, these messages.
All in the Family comes up with some classic comments.
Italian, a Jew, an Irishman, and a regular American. What I call a balanced ticket.
But when Archie speaks, Edith gets the let out.
Go.
This family's not for real, but it's All in the Family. All in the Family moves to 4:30 beginning Monday, only on Channel 7.
Hi, I'm Lucille Ball speaking for the YWCA. You know, I've spent all my life learning about living and working and marriage and being a mother, about my work and how to be a better performer and entertainer. I'm always eager to learn about all kinds of new things. If you are too, check out your community YWCA. You'll learn a lot. YWCA.
Vince, get up. Safety belt test at 9. Hurry.
Not another windshield taste test. Count me out.
What? The old pro backing down from a motorhome?
Nothing like that. I'm just tired of trying to convince people to wear safety belts. No one's listening.
Safety belt saved Barbara Mandrell.
You're right. Someone listen. Let's hit the road.
You hungry, partner?
Let's do some donuts on the way in.
Good idea.
You could learn a lot from a dummy. Buckle your safety belt.
The water's a mighty fine way, mates, to enjoy a mighty fine day. But keep an eye out for your playmates. Some have never been told there are rules of the road that should not be spurned, but by all sailors learned, so boating can be as safe as it's fun.
Take skip from me, Popeye. Be smart. Take a boating course.
Oh, 1-800-336-BOAT.
Good morning. This is Tommy Kesar. I'm your Travis County Extension Agent. And today we have with us Dr. Wayne Hayenga, who's a management specialist and economist with the Texas Agriculture Extension Service. Dr. Hayenga has his location of operation at College Station at Texas A&M University, and he travels the state extensively, putting on estate planning seminars, financial planning seminars. And what we're going to do today is have Dr. Hayenga kind of explain some of the programs that he puts on throughout the state. Wayne, it's a pleasure to have you with us today.
Thanks, Tommy. Pleased to be here. I'm involved in, as you said, a wide variety of estate and financial management seminars. One of the things which we've recently done in Austin is a program for women landowners, talking about the tax and the financial and the estate planning matters of women who own substantial amounts of farm and ranch land, how they negotiate oil leases, how they negotiate surface leases, because I find most of these women don't operate it themselves, but live in urban areas and either have bought it for investment purposes or inherited it, and it's family land that they've had for a long time. Then after we talk about some of the tax matters of it, we talk about how to pass this land along to their loved ones and their families with the least possible estate tax consequences and the easiest administration. Other programs that I get involved with that we do in the Austin area, and we do all over the state, are some tax practitioner workshops. In the fall of each year, we have about 60 programs, primarily for the people who help the citizens of Texas fill out their tax forms. Last year at these 60 programs, approximately 4,500 people attended. We bring accountants up to date on the changes in the tax laws, and it looks like we'll have a major one this year, and also some of the rulings and regulations that came out and some of the cases that came out in the last year, so they can help their clients pay less taxes and actually fill out the returns more correctly also.
Well, that's good. I know that you're going into some new areas, and I know where I just came from, where we're going to do a tax practitioner workshop. I'll get that out here in a minute. Up in the Grayson County area, which is kind of new for you. Normally you're kind of around major metropolitan areas, isn't that right?
Well, we try to go all over the state as much as we can. We operate under the idea that we have to break even with every tax workshop. And when you get out to the real small towns, we just can't get the 40 or so people that we need in order to break even.
Right. This provides those accountants an opportunity to take advantage of the education, the curriculum program that they need to fill each year too, isn't it? Doesn't it help them a lot?
Right. The certified public accountants in the state of Texas need 40 hours of continuing professional education each year. And also, even if you're not a CPA but are enrolled to practice before the Internal Revenue Service, the service has recently instituted an educational requirement. And we have certified our programs with the Texas Society of CPAs, the Internal Revenue Service, and also now with the State Bar of Texas, because attorneys are starting to have to meet the requirement to have 15 hours of continuing professional education a year.
Well, that sure gives them an added opportunity not to have to go out and search for these courses, but that's an educational opportunity that the Extension Service that we're providing for them, and it's easy for them to come to these types of activities.
It's really, we find this very, very beneficial, particularly outside of the major metropolitan areas. In the major metropolitan areas, many of the professional organizations and societies have their own programs that provide for this. But by the time you get to small towns such as Sherman, Uvalde, or other smaller towns, Victoria, the major societies just can't afford to put on the programs out there. And because we have some economies of scale in advertising them, we're able to provide more service in smaller towns.
Now, I know you mentioned earlier the estate plan seminar that you had for the women landowners. You also provide educational opportunities in primary estate planning for everybody, not just females only, but also some males and couples and things of that nature, right?
Yeah, I guess I talked about the women one just because we did it in Austin here last year, but we also, two or three years ago, we had just a 2-day estate planning seminar, and these are primarily for farmers and ranch families, and we see mostly married couples. In fact, one of the reasons why the women's program was established is we had a lot of widows come to our married couples program and says, but our problems are different, our problems are distinct, can you please do something for us? And that's why the women's program was developed. Our general 2-day estate planning program just goes through the probable family situation of the typical family. Daddy and mommy get married, live together for 40 years, put together a substantial amount of assets. During that period of time, those assets increase and increase. In fact, we find out if you got a farm or ranch that's big enough to support a family unit and educate the kids and provide a comfortable living for daddy and mommy, you probably got an investment of about $1 million or more out there. And then if you have a large ranch, you know, it gets even more than that. Well, about that time you set into significant tax problems. And also we find people out there living till their 60s and 70s, they don't want to give, you know, their child may be a 45-year-old lawyer or doctor or professional in another area who may not want to join the ranch but still has an interest in it, and they may have 1 or 2 children out there on the ranch. How can they put together a business operation to pass that operating business along to the child who wants or would like that, and yet share the wealth equally among the children? And we talk a lot about that, and how to keep as many of dollars in the family and not in the tax coffers as possible.
Right. Now you put on a lot of these workshops yourself, but you also have professionals in their own right that come and assist you with some of these educational meetings, isn't that right?
Yes, particularly with our tax workshops, because we put on about 60 of these from, I think this year we'll start October 31st with the first one, and then Rudy gets started in full swing by November 10th, and quit just before Christmas. Because we put on 60 of those in that time, I hire a staff of about 15 professionals, certified public accountants, attorneys, and representatives from the Internal Revenue Service who can explain some of the IRS positions on certain of the tax laws and tax rule changes.
Now, in the estate planning seminar, sometimes we involve local people too, because it helps. Sometimes those people understand some people that are locally, and they assist you sometimes in the estate plan seminars, or
But we use all sorts of professionals, and we try to outline a curriculum to follow, and then to get local people involved to make sure that this is not really a strange or a funny topic that only people from, you know, with esoteric 5 college degrees understand, but the people in Travis County need to find some, you know, help locally. So in Travis County, there's a wide variety of professionals that are extremely well qualified to work in this area.
I believe in previous years there have been some estate planning seminars here that they've used you kind of as an MC or narrator and moderator, and then they've had some local people assist with that program.
Yes, we've done both some estate and financial planning programs in the county several times over the last 5 or 6 years.
Right. That's sponsored by the Travis County Agribusiness Committee that we met with Friday, and they've come up with some good ideas in planning out their educational program for this coming year. I know they're real involved, and they want to certainly get many of the people around in Travis County involved in what they do, and to identify that the Extension Service has these types of opportunities for them, for the people in the county to participate in.
One of the strongest points about the Agricultural Extension Service programs throughout the whole state, and particularly Travis County, is the number of local people we get involved. You know, you and I serve as coordinators and suggest a few ideas and collect information of what's been done in other counties and other areas. And then we solicit ideas from our local people so we can develop educational programs. The ideas come from the local people to best serve the needs of the local people. And that's probably one of the best and cheapest educational delivery systems for continuing education that we can probably provide our citizenry.
Yeah, you bet. You bet. Well, I've been going through some of the files and finding out some of the things that the Agribusiness Committee has been doing, and they've been really involved, and I'm really looking forward to working with them closely. It's a network of people, as we said, from around the county that have come together to identify needs that they tell us what kind of programming that they need to have. Is there a reason that you plan these? And I guess there is. The practitioner workshops in the fall.
The reason we plan the practitioner workshops in the fall comes out primarily from one thing, and that is January 1st to April 15th, the accountants are just 100% busy. I mean, you know, they only have one question in their mind: is what form do I have to work on next?
Right.
Also, the tax laws that are changing generally get around changing in the summertime, so we try in November and December, just before the tax filing season, to bring the practitioners the most up-to-date information they can use in their work.
Right. Well, we want to thank Dr. Wayne Hangay. Remember, the Travis County Extension Service here to help you. Stay tuned. Jay will be back.
I lost 63 pounds eating meals like spaghetti and meatballs, Salisbury steak, chili, desserts like chocolate pudding, chocolate frozen delight. NutriSystem foods are really great. On my last diet, I thought I was going to starve. I lost 63 pounds on NutriSystem, and I loved every bite. I just ate my way to success.
Call NutriSystem now. We succeed where diets fail you.
The afternoon laps are on us beginning Monday, September 8th.
Where are you from?
Well, school starts tomorrow, and perhaps some of you mothers will have a little more time to read some of the books that you've been wanting to read all summer long. David Earl Holt is the director of the Austin Public Library and has brought some books along that you might find of interest. But before we get started on the books, how did the summer reading program go this year?
Jay, it was one of the most successful ones we've ever had. We had 14% more participants this year than we've ever had before. We had 15,000 Austin youngsters participate. It finished on August the 10th. The last program of the summer reading program, we had a book drawing where we gave away 10 books at each branch as a door prize for those that participated. The books were provided by the Austin Optimist Club, and we're really grateful for that. It was just one of the best ones we've ever had. Our programming this summer was higher than it's ever been. We had more than 1,000 programs per month, and in fact in May we had 1,300 programs, and those are story times and craft programs and puppet shows and all kinds of activities taking place.
You had 15,000 youngsters participate?
15,400.
And they each read 10 books? That's 150,000 books.
Yeah. That's a lot of good reading.
Oh, boy, I'm telling you.
Yeah, we're real happy with it. The staff, I've always said to you, Jay, the staff of the Austin Public Library is one of the best staffs in the country, and they are 2/3 of our budget, and they're our best asset. They're our best resource. The people that are actually telling the stories and checking out the books and making sure that everything is shipshape in the libraries, and I really appreciate them. And they made the summer a real success.
How old does a youngster have to be to get a library card?
They can start as early as they want to, as long as the parent will take responsibility for the materials. So they can, the kids that participated in the summer reading program, for example, could have the books read to them, and that was they'd still get credit. So, you know, any age, children of all ages.
Didn't you just open up a new branch?
Yes, we did. It's near the corner of Loyola and Manor. It's called the University Hills branch, and it's the first program they had out there. They had 97 kids, and that was a lot of kids for a program for a story time or a puppet show. Very popular. The branch librarian out there is Frank Schmitzer, and he's doing a terrific job. The staff out there, the library assistant is Marie Carson, and yeah, it's out in northeast Austin, and the people out there are responding to that beautiful library very well.
Are you planning any more branches in the near future?
Yeah, we have one down in South Austin. It's near the corner. It's on the corner of Circle S and William Cannon, which is just about less than a half a block from William Cannon and South Congress. And that'll be open probably early next spring.
Okay, what are we going to be reading?
Well, for one thing, if you have a favorite novelist, he will write a novel this coming spring, so you'll be able to read that. One of the more popular books, incidentally, on the bestseller list is Lonesome Dove by Larry McMurtry. My wife started reading that, and oh, is it a thick book, but she enjoys it. These books are generic books. These are the types of books that are coming out. If you're an inventor and you like to invent things, this book will tell you how to go about it. It talks about patent agents, patent attorneys, patent searchers. It talks about where to get venture capital. It also covers some special areas like how do you patent computer software. So it's up to date. This one talks about, this is called Native Plants of Texas and the Southwest, and I loved it because it covers 350 plants. The illustrations are terrific. It tells you about how to gather seeds, how to propagate them, how to transplant, and what they can be used for. They're, you know, trees and shrubs and woody vines. That's a terrific book. I don't know whether you know it or not, Jay, but Napoleon handled all of his own real estate transactions personally. He didn't have an agent. Isn't that interesting to know that? This is called Smart Householder Sale by Owner Kit, and it tells you everything that you need to do as far as your legal obligations, as far as the forms you're supposed to fill out, as far as the things you're supposed to do, as far as tracing the history of the property on selling your own house. And we've got lots of books like that, and there's lots of houses being sold in Austin now. I love this one because of the illustrations. It's called South American Mythology. We have lots of books about South America. That's an area that we're not too familiar with.
Oh, that's pretty.
Yeah, the illustrations inside are terrific too. It talks about the divine origin of the Incas. It talks about the great big green tiger that the that the ancient natives of South America felt this tiger swallowed the sun and the moon, or attempted to swallow the sun and the moon. That's why you had eclipses. But there are various kinds of cults, and it covers it very well with really good illustrations. And the illustrations nowadays in books are getting to be really great.
They surely are.
We talked about restoring old houses a couple of weeks ago. This is restoring old commercial buildings, and I like it because after it covers the general areas, it takes specific kinds of buildings. For example, it talks about churches. Then it talks about a large home on a big lot. Then it talks about a large home in an urban, crowded lot. It also talks about commercial buildings, and it also talks about civic buildings. And in other words, it takes a case history of each one of those and what was done with it.
Ooh, looky there.
I love this book. It's a Texas Monthly Press book. And the illustrations, well, the pictures in there are fantastic. It covers everything from balloons and blimps in the Civil War to the space shuttle to all kinds of commercial aircraft to the little, what do they call them, light aircraft. To the great big barn-like planes that are going up now. Yeah. The illustrations in that book are terrific, and it covers, you know, aircraft right from the beginning. Now, Jay, if you've ever, this is called Skin Deep. If you've ever blushed, or if you've ever broke out in a cold sweat, you will realize how much your mental state affects your skin. And that's what this book talks about. It draws some real close parallels between skin problems and how your psychological makeup is. This book I liked because it's by Susan Goldenberg, and it just actually covers the personalities of all of the trading floors in the world. Tokyo, France, or Tokyo, Paris, Toronto, New York, Frankfurt. For example, I don't know whether you knew it or not, but on the Tokyo Stock Exchange, the traders do their dealings with an abacus, and I wasn't aware of that.
And they're probably almost as fast as a calculator.
Probably more accurate. This book is called The Postponed Generation. Do you know why we're growing up later now, Jay? It's because of unrealized expectations, and we want instant fulfillment of some of our expectations, and that's not happening now. Kids nowadays are unwilling to commit really on a long-term basis to the job, to a marriage, or to any part of their own development, to an education. I like this book. This is called The Beetle of Aphrodite, and what it's talking about there, it's got 12 stories about medical mysteries that are solved. I don't know if you remember back when Claire Booth Luce had a mysterious ailment when she was ambassador to Italy. Yeah. They found out it was the arsenic in the paint in
lead in the, right, on the ceiling.
Lead and arsenic. And it took a long time for them to figure out. They found out that Robert Bruce of King of Scots died of leprosy, but it took them about, you know, about 800 years to figure that out. This book is called, what is it called? Managing Hypertension. 1 in 4 people in this country are what, hypersensitive? And that's about 37 million people. And what it talks about there is various kinds of treatments, various kinds of treatments for anxiety and stress. This is a fascinating book called Writing to Read. It's the new IBM devised system that talks about kids writing what they read before they even learn how to read. In other words, they take their sounds and write them down. And it's a really, you know, as far as I'm concerned, a brand new method for teaching kids the phonetic method to learn how to read. And it's really working well. It's something like 88% successful, which is very high. This book's called The Open Road by Phil Patton, and I loved it because it talks about how the road has affected our lives. Everything from, I don't know if you remember the old roadside stands that looked like an ice cream cone, or one that looked like a pig where they sold barbecue, or the other ones where they had a great big bull where they sold beef. That has some terrific illustrations that brings back old memories. This one's called Playing for High Stakes, and it's by Elaine Denholtz, and it really talks about men and power in the corporate structure, and it's really talking about the wives of the men in the power structure and what kind of problems they're faced with if they have any kind of well, ambition or at all. If you're tone deaf, or if you think you're tone deaf and all thumbs, and you're talking about becoming a musical performer, this book will help you because it tells you that it's all mental. That in fact the wonderful star that stands up and performs has stage fright just like everybody else does, but anybody can learn to be a musician and do very well with a little bit of practice and setting realistic goals. When you get older, like I'm getting, this book is going to be a help because it talks about writing after 50, and it's written by Leonard Knotts. And what would you write about if you were over 50, and what would be something that somebody would be interested in? There's all kinds of things. You could write about travel, you could write about nostalgia, you could write about gardening, you could write about aging. I like this book because it is case histories of the people who are suddenly single, men or women, old or young, with children or without children. Tells how they coped. It doesn't give a final answer, but at least it gives you an idea that if that's your situation, you're not alone and other people have been able to cope and get through it too. I like this book because it's how the world works. And the thing about it is it covers, I believe, 24 major scientific concepts. Everything from evolution to the Big Bang Theory to the double helix. And it covers it in a way that a non-specialist can figure out how the world actually works. And I love those kinds of books because it brings it down into layman's language.
You mentioned a church a while ago in one of these books. Tell me the story about the people that painted the church, will you? Please.
Do I have to?
Please. I love it.
Okay, Jay. A man was painting the church, and he had all of his scaffolding and his ladders up, and he was painting for 3 or 4 days, and he finally got to the steeple, and he noticed he wasn't going to have enough paint left to finish the steeple, so he thinned the paint a little bit and then finished painting and got the steeple all done, took all of his ladders and his scaffolding down and was looking at his fine handiwork, and a big thunderstorm came over and just washed and washed and washed. The major part of the church was all right, except the steeple had some streaks in it because, you know, he did the thinning. So he was looking up and he said, "What am I going to do?" The clouds parted and a voice said, "Repaint and thin no more." Oh.